this render should actually go fairly quickly because everything is totally cached. We're dealing with mixer data, we're dealing with pure point cache files, so we should be good here. We shouldn't have to deal with any excessive render times. So I'm going to just plot a grid into the scene, size it up a little bit. Or actually, I don't even need to up the subdivisions. I'll just do something like that. I'll make sure there's a light in the scene. So the point light that I've just added in, I'll delete that, delete the default light, and I'll just set up a quick 3-point lighting system. I'll create a spotlight, and I'll use the spotlight look-through just to zoom out and place that spot. Say something like that will work well for me. Go back into camera view and I'll add in a couple of fill lights. So I'll add in a infinite fill light. No specular contribution, a little bit darker, a little bit blue will do well for me. And I'll have that light kind of coming in and filling in on this side here from below. And actually I'll split it from below and above. I'll duplicate the light. So I have two lights. Oops. Select both the lights here. So I'll actually say if a light ambience is supposed to be 0.449 for both lights, then 0.449 divided by 2 will give me 0.225 intensity for each light. I can even vary the color ever so slightly on one of the lights just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Maybe add a little bit of green into the light. Alright, so on the main light, if I select the spot, I'm going to make sure that it's a shadow casting light. So I get that working there. Again, if I just increase the aliasing, the shadow quality improves as well. And I'll just apply a quick material to this grid, just a Lambert material. I'll just give it a kind of a cool blue look. Desaturated, deluminanced. Alright, and I'll use the B key to open up the spotlight a little more. Alright, so let's get the final render going. It's a 400 frame render. I'll use the pass options to set the pass name. I'll call this one the stand and cheer. And I'm going to render it into the pick format, and I'll make sure that for the scene options I'm rendering from frames 1 to 400. And actually I don't even need to render from 1 to 400. I really just want to render from about frame, looks like 112. So I actually render from 112 to 400. Or I could have just shifted everything in the timeline a bit. Actually, let's do it let's do it this way. That'll be a little bit cleaner. I'll actually set the start frame for 1. And if I actually just jump into the ice cache tree, we can actually just take everything and shift it down in the timeline. So if all my animation starts about here in my clips, I can actually just move everything down to that point right there. There we go. So starting from that point to the end frame is actually only 260 frames. So I'll set the scene options from 1 to 260. That saves me 140 frames of render time, which is very, very useful. As far as the quality goes, I'll just do an average quality render. So in the renderer options, -1 and 1 will do fine with a sampling contrast of 0.2. I don't really want any Gaussian-based renders. Gaussian blur-based renders, so I'll keep all of the values the same in terms of rendering options. So I'm going to make it a little sharper, or actually just a little bit simpler. I'm just going to do a simple box filter, less smoothing. And let's set the render to go. So I'll pop back in right after the render's done, and we'll have a final look at this cloth-based scene.